overwhelming nature of the coronavirus outbreak has gripped the world with statistics, data, death tolls, phrases like flattening the curve, social or physical distancing. But how do we as South Africans really feel about it? Going a bit deeper, how do South Africans living in the epicenter of the United States feel about coronavirus, a country that has seen more than 1.2 million confirmed cases with over 73,000 deaths? Now, our U.S. correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease conducted a Zoom conversation with 4 expats living and working in the United States.
The idea really to get beyond the numbers and the terminology we've become so accustomed to during this crisis, to really get to how people are feeling, particularly South Africans that are far away from their native country in a time of great uncertainty, of great anxiety, a time of real crisis. And what they leave us with are some serious moments and hopefully others that will leave a wry smile on your face.
Someone said to me, stop counting the days, but I've been counting every single day. It's day 53 today. It's week 8. I started this on March 13th. And when I look at it from a work perspective and home perspective, there's a very specific curve that plays out for me. If I look at work firstly, at the first 2 weeks, I noticed everyone was interested to jump on a Zoom call, be in contact constantly, share what they're doing at home. And after that, it either plateaued or went down, where people are kind of having fatigue of needing to look perky on a work call. And I also heard from some people that people were starting to shame people's workspaces a bit. So I think people are refraining from showing up on calls like this. But what's been encouraging for me from a work point of view is how our team, as a leadership team, has responded to this crisis, I would call it. It's been from a empathy, from sympathy point of view, where every call people start with, how are you doing? It's not just about the work, being productive. It's checking in with people, asking people to be honest about just their emotional state of mind before we get into the work. And that's been encouraging.
For me, it's been trying to pivot a little bit as well, because, you know, as I said, a lot of what I do is entertainment journalism. And so I've actually delved into financial writing, looking at how the country has been trying to help people and small businesses particularly deal with this. And my heart has been really breaking. I feel like I'm having this breakup in a way. I'm going through this breakup with a city that I've been in this relationship with for the past 9 years, and taking it in every day, going on the streets, meeting people, going to movies, going to concerts, just interacting with New Yorkers. In some ways, you know, the ways that we detest or irritate us, but it's part of what makes living in the city so vibrant. And I've been dealing with a lot of the issues of, well, what happens when you no longer get to interact with the city in the same way. And, you know, being in Brooklyn, when I do go for runs and I see Manhattan from across the way, and I just think about how quiet it is and how the streets are. They're not necessarily empty, but all the stores are closed down, and seeing this vibrant place that you're so used to, you know, I take full advantage of living here. And so this has been a real shock almost, to kind of go for so long without going into a store and just having one of those serendipitous moments that end up informing how you live here.
We living in the suburbs, we're fortunate to have a backyard, and we've been using it even when it's a bit colder. But we do like going to state parks and going to the local parks. And the frightening thing is that even though people do have yards, these past 2 weekends, like Wayne mentioned, that have been warm, people have been going to these parks and just absolutely packing them. People seem to be less responsible here. And that is my biggest worry with summer coming, and I just feel like we will still be holed up at home.
I have a friend who was in Spain and there was total lockdown. They weren't allowed to go outside whatsoever. And she used to sort of, every time we talk, she'd say, I can't believe you're going to run. You're so lucky. But in a dense city like New York, the fact that you are still running when we're not allowed to, it just doesn't make sense. And I think that's been one of the biggest issues, is how consistent or inconsistent a lot of these rules have been. And so for someone like me, I need running. Yes, it's a physical pastime, but it's also a mental health thing for me. It's one of the ways that I work through anything that I'm troubled with. And so I've been grateful to still run, but I also feel like it might be a big question of how are we going to control people, because there is this intense need to go outside.
Had the virus, or at least I think I do, because despite living in the wealthiest country in the world, testing is not freely available.
Yeah.
One of the side effects is losing my sense of smell and taste, which of course is awful when your wife is cooking up a storm inside and you can't enjoy the full benefits of all of those tastes. But the one silver lining was that I was then made responsible for changing my kids' diapers. So I benefited in some ways from that encounter. And then, of course, I the first thing I did was, when we started working from home, I bought a guitar. Can't play the damn thing, but trying to learn how to play some music, and hopefully, Sherwin, when I see you again in person, I'll be able to serenade you with something beautiful.
I think the funnest thing for us now has been baking together. We literally baking almost every day, and my boys love joining in. The 7-year-old and the 2-year-old, a huge mess in the kitchen all the time. Yesterday we made chocolate cake for my birthday, which was like a huge feat for me. And I'm just loving the relationship between my husband and the kids, because he's getting to spend much more time with them than he normally does, and they're building stuff. And yeah, it's just bringing the whole family together.
USA, because I admire very much what President Cyril Ramaphosa did do, but again, my run's so important.
I'm in perfect shape and don't need any exercise. So I prefer the South African lockdown, to be honest. and honestly, I think just from a public health perspective, I'm probably less likely to contract COVID-19 in South Africa than I am right here in Manhattan.
He has got blood on his hands. I mean, my friend was in hospital for 10 days on a ventilator and given the drug, the anti-malaria drug that he should not have been given, because he had a very negative reaction to it and almost died. And I cannot believe that I'm living here where it's supposed to be a first world country, where there should have been decisive action taken and a very consistent, strong message from above. So I'm really very, very deeply upset.
I think this guy is creating so much uncertainty. If I just, again, look from a work point of view, from the economy point of view, when any of the calls I go onto, we are uncertain about when we will return to whatever new normal it would be. He's just not clear. If you compare him to President Ramaphosa, where there's clear and decisive leadership coming through. If we do this, we'll go to level 4, blah, blah, blah. That's what we need. We're not getting it here, and it's just filtering through to every other part of the country and different states and cities as well.